I don't know if you saw, but in January I tweeted something about Ghost Production, and that tweet blew up. It had like
Okay. Yeah, I did actually. Yes, I did.
600,000
Yep.
engagements or whatever. That was rage tweeting from me because I have a close friend who does Ghost Production for an American dude who used to buy Ghost from me.
Okay.
When I was starting out in 2019 and 2020. So this particular person always approaches up-and-comers and he promises the world to you. So for me, he promised a lot of things. Then I did a couple of tracks for him, and as soon as I became bigger and as soon as my production quality became much better, I started asking for more money, obviously.
Understandable, yeah.
Yeah, I raised my prices and then he dipped.
Nosphere, welcome to the Underground Society podcast, man. How are you?
Hey, I'm happy to be here.
Hell yeah, me too. Thank you for agreeing to do this. I've been keeping an eye on your music over the last couple of years, and you're one of the artists that I listen to on a pretty regular basis. So it's really cool to have you here and be able to talk to you. But that being said, our first guest from Hungary, and I kind of want to start off this interview by asking kind of a selfish question. But what sports do you enjoy watching? Because I know we have our American sports over here, and I know the only really sport that I know about, because I played it in high school, is water polo. That's huge in Hungary, and I know that's one of the big countries for it. But what is that true? Or is that just our American opinion, or what sports are big over there? And do you enjoy watching sports?
Well, I personally don't really watch any sports, but I know soccer is pretty big in our country.
Yeah.
Like, 99% of the people really enjoy watching soccer and they really believe in our team, but we didn't have any success in the past 30 years.
All these Spaniard and Italian and other countries are top dogs, it seems like, right now in soccer.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you enjoy doing outside of watching? Like, what do you do in your free time outside of music if it's not sports?
Well, nowadays, in the past year or two, I only do music because that's kind of full time right now. So I do that and I work on the visa. So right now I don't have anything up other than music. I play a lot of games, but that's it.
Cool.
Mostly.
Very cool. Talking about your music career, you've had some releases on some pretty notable records: Cyclops Recordings, Good Vibration, Disciple Roundtable. But before we get into all of that, when did you first decide to become a musician? When did you really, get the ball rolling in your career and point your directions and this is what you want to do for the rest of your life?
Well, it was an interesting decision because at first, to start off, my uncle has kind of a garage rock band, like 60s. They play a lot of Elvis and stuff.
Okay. And
that really stuck with me, but I didn't really like the classical stuff. So I think first I think this is going to be probably the most cliche bridge into dubstep, but obviously I started listening to trap on YouTube, Trap Nation, Trap City, stuff like that. And then eventually I found Skrillex in like 2012. And
Skrillex really caused this whole industry to explode and become what it is, because not the first time, like you said, cliche or not, but that's not the first time I've heard Skrillex being the introductory artist that really caused a lot of people to want to become producers, want to make this their lives as well. So it's still cool to hear, because it's still cool to hear that Skrillex was like the guy.
Yeah, he really is. I think I found his music probably in 2012, and I graduated high school in 2015. So I didn't really have any plans moving forward after high school. I didn't want to go to uni or anything like that. So
me too, brother.
First thing
we graduated the same year, and me too.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm 27.
Okay, yeah, I've graduated young, but I'm 26. I'll be 27 in a couple months. But
yeah, hell yeah, yeah. So basically, I didn't have any ideas what to do in the future. So I already messed around in FL Studio. So I was like, yeah, let's do something related to music. in some way. So the first school I found was a 2-year long. I don't know how you say it in English, because in Hungary we have like a government word for it, but it's like a course that gives you a profession, but it's not a
Kind of like
university per se.
I think what we call it here is like a trade school.
Kind of like that,
it
yeah.
teaches you like a trade, like whether it be music is a lot. We have those over here as well. Like Icon Collective would be a good example of that.
Yeah,
Or
something
like
like that.
woodworking, or
Yeah.
mechanics or shit like that. Yeah, it's trade school.
Yeah. So I went there, and it ended up being a really good choice, because they really taught me sound engineering as a whole. So I became a sound engineer in 2017.
Is that where you were originally like, I'm just going to do engineering? And that this is going to
no.
be like, okay. So that
No,
was just
I was just
starting.
stupid, and I thought that that's going to relate to EDM in any sort of way, but it didn't. So
yeah.
I just learned all the in and outs of how to disassemble a real live analog audio unit, like a compressor or something like that. And
not a lot of people can say they know how to do that either, though. So
yeah,
that's
I mean,
cool.
theoretically I can do it, but I never did it actually.
Oh, okay.
So,
okay.
Yeah. I don't know for sure, but I never worked with any kind of equipment like that, because I was always gravitating towards sound design and stuff like that. So for example, one of my teachers were a Foley artist at a movie studio in Hungary. And I did a couple of sound designing sessions there, but nothing ever came to light. So, but it was an interesting learning experience.
Yeah.
But yeah, in 2017, after I graduated that school, I formed Nosphere with one of my high school buddies, because Nosphere originally was a duo.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
not a lot of people know this, but yeah, it was a duo at first.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
How long did that last, and why did you guys separate?
Yeah, so it's, well, I don't know
if you
should I put this, but basically he didn't really do much.
Okay.
So yeah, there was no arguing or anything like that. I was just like, after our first big successful show, I was like, okay, either you put 100% in this or I'm doing it. And then after 2 weeks, I said, okay, you still didn't reply to me, so I'm just gonna say it. I'm gonna continue Nosphere without you, and then that's it. Yeah. 2017, we released, I think, like 1 drum and bass and 2 dubstep tracks, but they were like Virtual Riot copy paste.
Got it. Yeah.
Songs. And then 2018, we got our first big gig with Next Level, which is the biggest promoter group in Hungary.
Mm-hmm. I've actually heard of them.
Yeah, and then 2019, my first ever label release came out on Audio Records.
Okay, yeah.
And that was kind of the first big step, I think.
Yeah. How big is it being from Hungary to get your name known in the United States? Is the scene big in Hungary? Could you make it as an artist in Hungary? Or is it really, if you want to be an artist but you're from there, your goal is to push your music to the US and try and get your visa and try and move over here? What does that look like for someone like
Definitely the second one.
Okay.
Definitely. I think everyone from outside the US, the end goal for everyone is that being in the US and
you hear
in the US.
You hear so many things. I've heard so much, how big, maybe not Hungary in specific, but at least European, like drum and bass especially. It's such a big genre over there. It's almost a bigger genre over there than it is here, but it's still like people still want the opportunity, I guess, is still better in the US than in a European country.
The thing about music in general in the US is that the market is just like 100 times bigger.
Yeah.
And
we like our entertainment over here.
Yeah, definitely. You cannot really make a living off of music unless you are super big in the EU. It's kind of sad, but yeah, Hungary, our capital is Budapest, and Budapest has an insane scene. People over here.
I was gonna say they have like, what's that festival that always happens in Budapest?
Bass Paradise.
Yeah. Have you had an opportunity to play that?
Yeah.
Oh, sweet.
So in here, promoter promoter companies or groups work a little different than in the US. So here, every promoter company has like resident DJs,
Okay.
and the Next Level resident DJ group is called Next Level Family. And I was with them for 4 years, but then we parted ways last November. So yeah, I played all of. I'm actually gonna play this year's festival as well. So
Oh, cool.
it's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
Apart from the fact that I'm playing the last slot on the last day.
People are gonna be tired. Not wore
but
out
they
from
say
the weekend, and
they sold the most amount of tickets to the last day for the after party. So fingers crossed.
Yeah, that's good. What label, we talked about audio and some other stuff that you've released on, obviously some actual notable, big labels like Cyclops Recordings, Good Vibrations. Who gave you the opportunity first to release music with them, and how did they find you, being from Hungary?
I don't really remember how my music got to them, but Audio Records was the first.
Yeah.
Because I think they started out, and I knew some artists from the first compilation, and then they sent my music to the owner. But after Audio, I think the first major breakthrough was when Fundcase played my one of my tracks at Rampage.
Oh, cool.
In the big stadium version of Rampage, and that was insane. I remember I saw that and I started jumping around in my living room. It was so crazy.
How long from that point till like the first big, email or phone call that you got to they're like, hey, we want your music?
I think probably 2 weeks from the play out.
That's pretty quick.
He asked me to send a finished version because he wants that on DPMO, one of the compilations. And then, funny enough, Sweet Tooth actually messaged me saying my music is sick, and we linked up. We did a track together, and that track ended up on the same compilation. So
very cool. Yeah, Sweet Tooth. I've heard nothing. I have mutual friends with him, and I've heard nothing but great things about him.
He's an amazing dude.
If he's listening, I'd love to get him on the show.
Yeah.
Being from Hungary, I'm sure you've had a lot of challenges that you've had to overcome. But what were some of the positives, I guess, from being from that area? Was it more of a battle being from there, or were there some things that you got to experience as an artist in Hungary that maybe someone from the U.S. wouldn't have the same opportunity to experience?
Well, that's a great question. I don't really know. I don't think there's anything. Well, maybe the only thing I can think of regarding this is the crowd in Hungary is much more receptive to raging with you.
Okay.
So if you throw down a really nasty set with really heavy and aggressive music, they're gonna rage as well. So they're gonna do mosh pits on every single track. They're not gonna just stand around. Because I've heard from a lot of my friends.
We do stand around a little bit in the US.
Yeah. Yeah. Also regarding this, in Hungary specifically, and all around the EU, I guess, dubstep shows are ranging from usually around 11 p.m. until 6 a.m. So
oh wow, time's
that's
way
like
different.
Yeah, that's like a hard.
We start at 6, and some of our shows, depending on the venue, end at 11 or midnight. So that's way different.
And they don't stop selling alcohol at
they
like
don't
10 p.m.
or do? Oh, they do stop. Oh, sweet.
They don't.
That's good. Yeah.
You can buy a fucking gin tonic at 3 a.m. if you want to. It's crazy good.
Yeah, usually it's depending on the club. If it's a 2 o'clock shutdown, it's usually like whatever the hours before.
Yeah.
They'll stop serving so that people can. Those of you who enjoy drinking and driving, which I don't recommend.
Yeah.
It gives them an hour of,
don't do that.
Hey, drink some water, sit down, sober up a little bit. So, but
yeah.
How are the laws there in Hungary? I know the drinking age is also younger, right?
Yeah, it's 18.
Yeah, way better.
But there's
it's like 18 everywhere besides the US.
Yeah, but there's zero tolerance for drinking and driving.
Yeah, yeah. What happens? I mean, here we have a DUI, but what happens over in Hungary?
I don't know because I don't have a license, but
Okay.
I've heard. I mean, it depends on how drunk you are, or it depends on if you get caught with an accident or they just stop you randomly.
Right.
If they stop you randomly and you're not that drunk, they probably gonna let you go with a fine, and they gonna put a couple what's that, like, points on your license.
Yeah.
Something like
yeah,
that.
here it's like you get your no question, get even I think it's like I forget what the percentage is, 0.08 or something like that. If you blow in the breathalyzer, anything over that, it's like you get your license revoked. You got to pay like 10 grand in fees at like minimum. Yeah, like it's rough. It's not the thing to do. But people do it a lot, and I know a lot of people who've gotten away with it, but also just dangerous. I don't want to be behind the wheel of a car and be drunk. Like,
I think in Hungary, like like if you're just a little bit drunk, like, just you had a beer 2 hours ago, but the machine still detects it in your breath, you have to pay around like $500.
Okay, so it's not as bad, but yeah. But
Not
still,
10K.
most people who are going to do that aren't going to be that close to the line either, probably. So,
yeah.
Awesome. Well, I wanted to ask a little bit more about just like the scene in Hungary. Is it pretty popular? Like the dubstep, even drum and bass. What's really hot in Hungary, and how is the scene, at least where you are and where you're from?
I think to understand this better, you have to know about Hungarians, that we really have a good understanding of how bad of a situation we are in.
Okay.
Politically. So most young Hungarians have like a mission that they want to leave the country in some way, either for work or just straight up get a new life in the other side of the world. And we really like to not suffer, but we embrace the pain, let's say that.
Okay.
And yeah, our government is really terrible, and because
I don't know
of
much
that,
about politics over there.
people really like to rage, and they have fun raging. Unfortunately, they do a shit ton of drugs and alcohol.
Yeah.
But they usually get a big amount of energy going to shows, so they like everything basically.
So it's an escape.
Drum
for
and
them
bass is huge. Yeah,
their terrible lives, quote unquote.
Drum and bass and dubstep and every kind of bass music is huge over here. So for example, I mean, huge for a Hungarian economy means that we have one drum and bass and one dubstep show each month.
Okay.
That's the max you can do.
Yeah.
Because
is there like a legal limit of that?
No, we just have 2 million people in the city, so it's not a lot.
Wow. Yeah.
We probably have like a core following of bass music around, like people who actually go to shows and pay for drinks and whatever, about like 2,000 people max.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah. So the demand is
it's a really tight knit community. Yeah. Usually, if you've been going to dubstep shows in the past 2 years, you've probably seen everybody that's in front of you at a show.
Right. That's kind of cool though, because then it is actually like it's a community that you can actually like know everyone, and it's being a tighter, because like here, like I go to shows even if it's close by or close venue to my house, like there's plenty of people there that I don't know, so that'd be kind of a different scene. That's cool.
Yeah, it's definitely I mean, each promoter group has their own following, like cult following. So they have different people because there's two major promoter groups in Hungary. One is called Next Level, obviously, which we talked about, and the other one is called Frat FRAT.
Okay.
And I don't know when they started, probably in 2018 or 19, but they are getting pretty big recently.
Yeah,
I'm actually going to play there on the 29th with Versa. That's going to be big.
Nice. Something that we run into here is almost like promoter competition, where there's so many
Mm,
promoters now, so many people that want to throw shows that it's like
yeah.
it gets almost like too oversaturated. So that's, I mean, with the amount of people that go to shows normally, do you feel like there is a demand for more promoters, or do you think that two is already maybe too many?
Yeah, definitely the latter.
Yeah.
Two is almost too many. We used to have like 6 or 7
Okay.
pre-COVID, but yeah, COVID
Yeah. Yeah.
definitely shrinked
It's hard to
the
survive
market.
during that
Yeah,
time. Yeah. How did Hungary handle that situation?
terribly.
Terribly. Yeah.
Yeah, so the basics of our politics here is that for the past 12 years, our government was stealing a lot of money from the EU,
Mm.
and they did it pretty openly, so it's pretty bad. I don't know much about politics because I don't follow it because it's just
Yeah. I tried. I know what I know about the U.S. and that's about it.
yeah.
And I don't really have an opinion one way or the other.
Yeah, same. I'm just trying to stay out of it, but
Yeah.
I can see it with my own eyes that our hospitals are in a condition that was last seen in World War II. So,
Oh my goodness.
like some
Yeah.
of our hospitals have beds in the what's it called? The compartment not around. Fuck, English.
Basement.
The basement. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
what
I was like, I think
yeah.
that might be what you're hinting at.
Yeah. So in the basement without any heating or whatever, with cockroaches
Yeah.
and everything. So
That's
and
rough. Being in the hospital and you're just like, yep, you're in the
yeah.
basement. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, like people say, yeah, you are not in America, so you don't have to pay like 5K for a broken arm or something. But like, yeah, we have our
But the care is not.
we
there.
have like healthcare built into our tax that gets subtracted from our wages. But at the same time, if you go to a hospital with an emergent situation, like you broke your fucking knee and there's a bone sticking out, they will make you wait like 6 hours until a doctor can see you. Yeah.
That's tough.
Yeah.
You really want to be careful
Yeah.
to not have that happen, I'm sure.
I mean, it's fine if you're under 18 because people who work in child hospitals are much nicer, but there's no money flowing into regular hospitals whatsoever. So
Yeah. That's wild.
yeah.
Damn.
Also, food is just as expensive as in America, which is wild because
That's crazy.
yeah, because a monthly salary, like an average monthly salary in Hungary, is around $700 to $800.
No way.
Yeah.
And having to pay and usually even just for like bare minimum McDonald's jobs, you make $3-4 grand here a month.
Yeah,
That's
well,
crazy.
not in here.
Damn.
Yeah,
That's
like
rough. Are you
a
guys
starter McDonald's salary here is probably like
$2-3?
350,000 Hungarian, which is $950 per month.
Jesus.
Yeah.
That's insane. Yeah, are you guys a communist country?
Well,
Or how does that operate there?
well, they say we
Not saying
are.
it's a bad thing, but
our government always says that we are not communist, but
yeah,
everything they do is pointing to that. So yeah.
It's almost there's
Like
almost
the first thing you see at the only Hungarian airport when you get off the plane is that Hungary is family friendly and we love everyone. And
you're like,
in the meantime,
okay.
and in the meantime, while they were putting those stickers up in the airport, they made a law mid-COVID that 2 male parents cannot be a family by the law. So you cannot adopt a child to a family if you are 2 gay men married.
What?
Yeah.
But
Hungary is family friendly.
Yeah, okay.
It's weird.
That's crazy, yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about, I know one of the big events in Hungary and the European scene is Rampage, and I know you've played that.
Yeah.
You've played for a couple. You played the one in Amsterdam, and you played another one as well. What do you once you play? I've always been curious about this, and I've talked to other people. I just have never asked this question who've played Rampage. But once you're kind of like in the Rampage, like you've played it, is it more of like, do they kind of use the same model with like residency in a way where you're more likely to be brought back, or is there like you become a part of like the Rampage like community or team or whatever? Is it easier to continue getting shows once you actually get that opportunity?
I think well, it's hard to say for me specifically because my booking agent works for Rampage. So for me, it's a little different. But I'd say, yeah, if you have some amount of following, they probably invite you. Right. They have so many stages and they have so many acts. Yeah, they're probably gonna invite you if you have like a couple thousand followers and you have a couple hit songs.
So they really
you don't have to have like Subtronics stats or whatever. But yeah,
those guys definitely still get booked. But
yeah. But Rampage is insane.
Yeah, it's cool that they give the opportunity to like the up and comers too, not just.
Yeah, and also their small stages are super well curated as well. Like one of my good buddies, Molde, lives out in the Netherlands because of school. He's also Hungarian, and he actually played last ADE, which is like the Amsterdam Dance Events thing, and he played the same show as me, but in a 300 capacity room, and it was packed and it looked awesome.
Very cool.
Such a good time.
Yeah. Sometimes it's even you hear the bigger guys say they're like you still enjoy playing the packed smaller rooms. Like because
I definitely enjoy the club shows more.
Yeah, the energy is just next level compared to like
more
trying
personal.
to reach 10,000 people in the back of the room.
Yeah, definitely.
Another thing that I want to talk about was your YouTube channel. I know you just posted a compression deep dive there the other day, but what really gave you the spark or the interest in starting your YouTube channel, and what was, I guess, the main idea for you when you first started it?
Well, there was a lot of ideas originally. I think first I started it in COVID, probably.
Okay.
I just posted random gameplays.
I'm bored. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm bored. But yeah, well, to be completely honest, in high school, I think as everybody once in their life, I wanted to be a YouTuber.
Yeah.
So I learned a lot about just Photoshop and video editing in general. And I still do almost every single social media content for myself. So I don't know, I just like creating videos and educating people. So I started doing that. I also do Patreon. So for Patreon, I also have to do a lot of educational content. So I just wanted to make something more professional with that as well. I'm also obviously trying to get my name out there either way, because to be completely honest, as a musician who wants to play shows and be big nowadays, it's like you can't avoid getting into America. Like that's the biggest thing that can ever happen to your career. Even if all the big names play your music, it's nothing compared to you actually being there and playing shows. Because
people might your streaming numbers might do well, but a lot of times you're not making money on the streaming numbers. You're making money on actually playing the show. So you want to put yourself in the best position to
probably 90%. Well, not 90%, but I'd say the big amount of money for an artist, especially in dubstep, usually comes down to shows and merch.
Yeah.
So streaming is probably like pocket money.
Yeah, the music used to be where the moneymaker, 10, 15 years ago, even 20 years ago, but it's slowly progressed into like, you got to build a brand around it. You got to build a business around it and almost use your music as like a marketing tool in a way instead of like the main, sole moneymaker.
Yeah, it's sad to be honest.
Yeah.
It is definitely a different market now, but if you don't adapt, you're gonna get buried.
Yeah, yeah. I'm worried about that. We brought up sports at the beginning of this. I'm a big race fan, so I watch a lot of racing from
Mhm.
IndyCar to NASCAR to F1 and stuff, and
Yeah.
it's a lot of those guys are going to streaming as well, or even other sports, football, and are going to streaming platforms. And I'm curious to see how
Yeah.
that is different than what's happened to us in music, where guys aren't really getting paid off streams. But what is that going to
Mhm.
look like for sports teams and other things that are moving from like cable television to streaming platforms? So, well, that's
Yeah.
just kind of starting, but it'll be interesting to watch.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's interesting. Never
Yeah,
thought of that, to be honest. But yeah. It sounds so fucking complicated if you think about it.
yeah.
Dividing every single, yeah, down.
Since you started your YouTube channel, I know. First of all, let me just say you do a good job at kind of combining like comedy, being yourself, to what you should be doing. We've talked a lot. We've talked to a lot of other people about this on our show, but also like you take it to another level where you're also really passionate about like helping people and
Yeah.
showing tips and tricks, and like you said, having your Patreon. Where did the love of helping, I guess, the next generation come from, and why do you find yourself passionate, I guess, about doing that, helping those people?
I think that also came from, that's one of the good things that came out of COVID.
Yeah.
Because I was sitting at home and at first I thought to myself, I need to find a way to make a living out of music. And streaming is definitely not the case.
Yeah.
At the time, we obviously didn't know how long COVID will take. So I was like, I have a big, how do you say that in English? Lexical knowledge. Is that a thing?
Lackadaisical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have a big amount of information I could pass on. And I was never, I never wanted to be a
I
gatekeeper
guess
of
a
knowledge.
better way of putting that is a wealth of knowledge.
Yeah.
You have a lot of yeah.
And well, obviously because of the sound engineering degree. So yeah, I just tried teaching. I started doing one-on-one lessons for super cheap. And then the first time I posted about it, I got like, if I remember correctly, it was like 17 or 19 people.
Wow. Nice.
And I was like, God damn, that's
Yeah.
compared to Hungarian salaries, that's actually decent money. So
Right.
I started doing it full time. And after COVID, I went back to my parents have like a family business. They do like, they bake hamburger buns for street food restaurants.
Okay. Cool.
And I went back working there after COVID for another year. And in 2023 January, I quit because of teaching.
You're like, I'm just not making the same amount of money. I could go do what I love at that point, right?
Yeah.
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 You're like, why am I still
I
here?
also, I mean, yeah, to be honest, I also started doing ghosts on Fiverr.
Yeah, I
Like
went to your
ghost
website and
production.
I saw
Yeah.
your little advertisement at the top of your website on that.
Yeah. So ghosts
You're like one of
and
few people that I like have seen that they're just like, yeah, I'll do it. Like, and a lot of people are like, it's almost like a taboo topic, but it's like it happens a
yeah,
lot.
it is. Yeah.
Like, people just don't realize it. Like
Yeah.
ghost production, there's such a negative stigma to that, and it's like, well, if you can help, and especially for you, if you can make money doing so, why not?
Yeah. Well, the tough thing about being in Hungary, specifically for me, is that I don't have a lot of opportunities to make money, even online. If you think about it, for Hungarians, there's no online payment apart from PayPal. So there's no Cash App, no
No
Venmo,
Venmo, none
nothing,
of that shit. Yeah.
nothing, just PayPal. And so it's really hard. And I'm always super transparent about this, even with my clients, but I hate people who buy ghosts.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, I don't want to offend anyone, but it's such an American way of thinking that if you, for example, you want to start your career today, but you cannot produce. For me, if I'm in that position, I'm probably the next step I'm taking is that I'm gonna learn production and then put out tunes. But
Yes.
an American person will throw money
Not
at the
all
problem.
of us, but yes, I see what you're saying.
But most people I see or who I saw
yeah,
threw money at the problem. Like, here's
yeah,
$1,000, make 2 tunes for me, and yeah, they just gonna learn it later. I mean, they say they're gonna learn it later, but
and then you're just paying the next person. Yeah,
yeah, they never learn it. They never learn it.
No.
Yeah, and I know a lot of. I mean, obviously, I cannot say any names because I don't want to cause problems. Not for myself because I never signed any NDA.
Right.
But for the people who are now making money off of the big names. But there are a couple of big names who really
don't really
people.
produce. Yeah.
Yeah, and they don't even. It's not a problem because at the end of the day, it's an entertainment industry. But
right.
But the fact that they put up like production videos is baffling to me. Like,
yeah, that's where, it's like if you're just your love is the business and the performance side of things, and you're maybe not as good and you need some assistance maybe with the producing, obviously just become better at producing, but some people who are in that position are just like, maybe they don't have that desire to hone that craft in, and they're more interested in the other assets of being a touring musician.
Yeah.
I mean, I can see that, but I still think it's like, put in the work. If you really want to do this, like, do it for the right reasons.
Yeah, especially in dubstep, because I originally fell in love with dubstep because it's so twisted and it kind of scratches the right part of my brain.
Me too, brother. Me too.
The sounds always contain, like, mostly always, they contain all the frequencies there is your ear can like
comprehend.
How do you say that? Comprehend, yeah.
Yes.
And so I think in an ideal world, the only people who should be DJs with big performances should be the people who produce unique quality music. And for example, at a festival, I would probably see the producers. Let's say if I go to Lost Lands, I'm going to see the producers, and we all know those names who put out the same thing over and over and over again. And it's just, I don't know, as a disjointed with my ears, it just feels disgenuine and annoying. Yeah.
Even as for me, not being a producer, but being around and close to the scene as I am, I can even tell that. And it's like, I'll just stop listening to people's music. Like, even if their careers are taking off or doing big things or whatever, it's like, it's the same shit over and over. Like, how is this happening, for one? Don't people get tired of this? Don't people see what's happening? No? All right.
It's crazy. And on top of that, sometimes bad things come to light about certain people and then they are canceled.
Yes. Yeah. Seen that a lot, especially in bass music.
Yeah.
Over the last few years.
Especially in dubstep.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. This kind of moved us right into our next kind of topic here, but people using you. I know that's, we talked a little bit before the interview, and you were saying how that was a big thing that you had to kind of overcome. And that, honestly, this topic couldn't come at a more perfect time, because I just had a kind of a work relationship kind of fall through, and I felt very used. So I can relate to this very well. But I wanted to ask you, just, being in a position, we were talking about gross producing, I would imagine that would open a lot of doors for people to, probably want to use you through that. But in what ways, is there any specific stories, without naming any names, to where, this really was a problem for you that you had to overcome?
I don't know if you saw, but in January, I tweeted something about ghost production, and that tweet blew up. It had
Yeah, I did, actually. Yes, I did.
600,000 engagements or whatever.
In the video, I'll find the tweet and I'll put it up on the screen so we can look at it. But
so
it did blow up. I did see that.
Yeah, that was rage tweeting from me, because I have a close friend who does ghost production for an American dude who used to buy ghosts from me.
Okay.
When I was starting out in 2019 and 2020. And so this particular person always approaches up and comers and he promises the world to you. So for me, he was like, I can help you with the visa. He basically promised a couple of things. I'm not going to go into specifics because I don't want people to find out who it is. But basically, he promised a lot of things. Then I did a couple of tracks for him. And as soon as I became bigger and as soon as my production quality became much, much better, I started asking for more money, obviously.
Understandably,
because, yeah. And obviously in 2020, I mean, throughout 2020 and 2021, the whole world shut down. So in theory, the same amount of attention was on me compared to the US acts because they didn't have any shows either. So if I published a track, that got more traction than today because nowadays everyone is at a show when I'm releasing, or I cannot release in a good time where everyone is watching. So yeah, I raised my prices and then he dipped. And then he said the same words, basically copy pasted our conversation to another newcomer and used him, promised him the world, and then nothing happened. And like the guy who does his ghosts nowadays is a really close friend of mine, and he showed me a track, what he was working on. He didn't say who it was for, or because at the time I didn't even know. He to this day he didn't even tell me. I just found out because I have good ears and I do this for a living, so I know I can recognize his sounds. And I was watching, and in fact, by the way, that track was like old sudden death, like the peak sudden death, best of the best type of track. It was aggressive, well mixed, insane. And then I heard that track on an Infect feedback stream, I believe.
Okay.
And well, yeah, that was kind of a realization for me, like, okay, well, that's probably not his. And I know how much he pays for these type of stuff. And
because
let's just say
literally been in that position with him. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, even for 6 times of that money, that would be a steal.
Yeah.
So it's like he pays next to nothing.
Yeah.
And it's pretty annoying. And yeah, sometimes I just have rage building up about things like this because the whole industry is insanely unfair. And the sad part is that 99.99% of the crowd in the US doesn't care.
Yeah.
They just don't care. They just want to have a good time at a show. They want to be with their friends, which is totally fine, but
yeah, I feel like there's a lot more casual fans in the US than we fail to realize.
Yeah, basically it's like the US.
It's like the casual fan's not going to care at all. It's just good music, cool. Like they're not going to even think about it.
The US dubstep market is fake it till you make it.
Yes.
That's kind of the situation over there, which sucks.
Yeah,
because
and in Hungary, you're like, you have to be good to make it from, being where you're from.
Yeah, it's like even in 2017, I remember when Murata or Mastodon was starting to blow up with Cascade. I remember seeing some stories about him because he's also Australian, so his visa needed to be approved and whatnot. And even like in 2017, I was like thinking to myself, like, damn, you really have to make it and you really have to be bigger than everyone else before doing a single show inside the US. That's crazy. That's so
you like almost have to like, because like for, at least in my opinion, why that is the way it is because for you guys, you got to prove that you can actually move tickets. You have to prove that you can actually sell out. You have to prove that you're already there, because why spend all this money, time, and effort and getting a visa just for you to come over here and then us not make money off of you.
Yeah, but I think that should be up to the promoter, not the government.
100%. I agree.
Yeah.
But that's just unfortunately the way it's set up.
Yeah, that's what I'm struggling with right now.
I do agree. I do agree with musicians and stuff like that. Yes, it's work, and yes, you're getting paid, and I get all that, but it should be slightly different rules for entertainment purposes when it comes to working over here than it is, the whole visa thing. Like, I get it, and especially if you want to move over here and you're playing all your shows over here and you're doing all of it, but just like a one-off show or two, you do a little tour or something like that. You're only here for a short amount of time. Why do we have to bend over backwards for that to happen? Like, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and also it boosts your career big time. If you, I don't know if you listen to Muerta or if you've been listening to Muerta.
100%. Love his music. Yeah.
But back in I don't know when he got his visa, but probably in 2022.
Oh, yeah, I forgot he's not from here.
Yeah, he's Canadian.
Yeah.
And I think in 2022, before he got the visa, he had 11,000 monthly listeners, and after 6 months of touring, he had 100,000.
Blow up. Yeah.
That's how much playing shows means
in the US. Yeah,
it's crazy.
That's crazy. Yeah,
compared to Hungary, there's literally no benefit of playing shows apart from being at the show and having a good time.
Right.
Apart from that, like,
it's a place to cut your teeth, but you can't really make a full-fledged career. It's like,
even if you play the big festivals, unfortunately, I played Hungary's biggest festival, Sziget Festival, which is like 80,000 people. I played the second biggest stage, which was like 10 to 15K people.
That's a lot of freaking people.
and I didn't get a single follow that day or in the next 5 days. Yeah. Because people there usually come for the main stage, and then they just,
see the big acts. And if you're just to them, a nobody just playing the second stage or whatever, it doesn't really matter that much. Yeah.
Yeah, but most of those people are actually from abroad, and they just don't care, I think.
Right. Going back to the being used thing, I relate with that because and it's not the ghost production, but literally the exact same thing happened to me with editing someone else's podcast, and promise to be more, and all of a sudden it was like, no, I'm gonna go use someone else. All right.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's
so
crazy.
I very much can relate to that. But I wanted to ask you, what do you think, for myself, for you, and I think I can add a little pieces of information to this as well, but in your opinion, how can you better prevent yourself from falling into doing business with those types of people? Because for me, it blindsided me when it happened to me.
Yeah.
It was like the person that I didn't ever think that would ever do that, but it still happened.
Mm.
What do you think are some preventative measures for people who are listening that things to look out for so that doesn't happen to them?
I'd say the first thing should definitely be to know exactly how much you're worth.
Yeah.
So definitely, if you feel like your production, this is ghost production specific, or any kind of job related, to be honest, because if you know you are hired for something that you can do professionally, then ask for the right amount of money.
Right. Ask for the professional rate. Yeah.
Yeah. And make sure to tell that before you accept the job, obviously.
Right.
Because some people are like, for specifically my friends, they usually accept stuff at the beginning because the money sounds right, but then they are sent a different amount of money, and then they get
that's a whole nother level of messed up.
And then they get the sentence of, well, we didn't say we agree on that. That was like my first
contracts.
offer.
Get contracts. That will protect you. Get contracts. Even if you don't feel like you need it, just be like, hey, this is how I do business. This is just a preventative measure. Yeah. Do contracts. That's one thing that I wish I would have done.
Also, if you're hesitant and you don't mind giving up 20% of your income, then just go to Fiverr.
Right.
Because they have a lot of contract templates, and you can really work safely there.
Yeah. That is a good thing that I forgot about. They do have templates. I forgot about that.
Yeah, that's a good route, but they take away 20%. So that's If you do ghosts, that's a big cut.
Right, right. Yeah, and then you're like I get why they're taking the 20. I think that's a little high. I think it should be more like 10, but
Yeah.
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 But it does help you. I guess you're paying that 20% to help yourself be protected against shit like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Also, never start drama. Never
Yeah.
post about anyone unless they really screw
Even
you
if it
over
does
with a
happen to
big
you.
amount of money.
Yeah.
Instead, just ask friends on what you should do, but never start off with drama.
Yeah. The other day, I was so tempted to, I'm never gonna call any direct names out, but I was so tempted to post on my on Instagram story, like just in the heat of the moment. It's like, don't do shit like that either. Even if you get used, don't burn bridges. Don't start drama, like you said. Don't be an asshole.
I mean, occasionally it can work.
Yeah.
For example, in the music industry,
you're posted what it was meant to do for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I hope.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people started bitching about me that I don't say names. I'm just attention whoring with that tweet, but I just don't want to cause trouble for my friends.
Yes.
Obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, with music specifically, if you, for example, your Patreon plates are getting uploaded to SoundCloud as public free downloads or something, you can definitely post about that, because the more people report that, the sooner it's gonna get deleted. Yeah. So in that case,
pick and choose your battles.
Yeah.
What's your opinion on doing favors in this business? Thinking, someone says, hey, I'll cut you a deal for this in return for maybe this, and you've had that conversation, but the favor, by you doing the favor, they're not holding it, and they don't hold up their end of the bargain. What is your advice there when, doing favors? You don't really do it usually for something in return, but if it's talked about and things are not directly promised to you, but are, it seems like a good opportunity for you, but you have to do a favor in order for that to make that work. What's your opinion on just favors in this business?
I would only do favors in one specific scenario if the person who asks for the favor is my close friend. So
yeah.
I would never do any favors in this business, because everyone is super selfish and they usually just use you.
Yeah.
So I've had some rare occasions where people asked for a tune as like a ghost production, and they told me like a super sad story about how their
I don't want your sad story. This is business. Yeah.
Their dog swallowed something, and I felt sorry for them, and I did like a couple $100 off of a ghost production track, and then they weren't happy with the track, so they refunded their purchase through PayPal to screw me over after I sent everything. And then I had to submit screenshot evidences through the PayPal support, and then he ended up getting another couple $100 off me. So
that's messed up.
So damn. I definitely will never ever do favors.
Not do
again.
Favors. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, I think that's kind of all I had for you. We are getting to time. I thank you for being an open book about just everything that I had questions for you. I was super curious.
Anytime.
Like I said at the beginning, just one, the fact that you're from Hungary. I don't think I've had anyone on from Hungary. It's so cool to learn about the scene there, and
family-friendly Hungary.
Yeah, right. Family-friendly Hungary. And then also just, it was just perfect timing for what my week has been like this week and that topic. So thank you for sharing your knowledge there. Before we wrap up, though, what are you looking forward to most this year that you can give away, that you can talk about?
I'm releasing a shit ton of music still.
Dope.
I already released 2 EPs this year.
I will be listening. Yeah, very good.
Last year, I only released 7 or 8 tracks, because I had a little bit of a breather of a year release-wise.
Yeah.
But this year, I already released 2 EPs. Next month, I'm going to release another one. I'm not going to say where, but it's a familiar label. So
great. Hell yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna
Someone who
enjoy
you've
it.
worked with in the past, or no?
Yep.
Okay, great, cool.
And then, well, this is a really convoluted story, but I'm probably gonna have an album assembled from my older tracks and a couple of newer ones coming out in September, probably
Hell yeah, fantastic.
on a big label as well.
Let's go.
But
First album, right? You haven't done an album. Okay, cool.
Yeah, first album, but it's gonna be like it's more of like a compilation from my old and new tracks. So it's kind of a big spoonful of Nosphere, touching on every genre I like to make.
Hell yeah. Well, I'm excited for that to come out eventually.
Yeah, but it's a little bit convoluted because coming from Hungary, it's pretty damn hard to get a hold of all the touring artists, obviously. So
yeah.
I had to cross a couple of collabs off of that album because they don't have the time to either do the track or they don't have the time to even reply to me for months.
Yeah.
So a lot of people
everyone
just
has a
disappear.
time. That's the other thing. Just people, not that they're using you and what we were just talking about, but just I feel like more people have the time. It's just whether they want to do it or not. It's like,
yeah,
I feel like I don't have the time.
have.
It's such an excuse.
Yeah, like the worst excuse I have ever heard is that I'm bad at replying. How can you be bad at replying?
How? Yeah. Literally everyone has their phone in their hand or in their pocket at all times every single day. How are you bad at replying? Yeah, doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. But yeah, people are disappearing all the time, so I'm used to it now. But
yeah.
I have enough music to put on there, so even if there's gonna be 0 collabs on there, I'm still gonna be able to. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you for not being bad at replying, and thank you for you were very responsive with emails and stuff, so that made my job easy. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Also, at the end of the year, I'm not gonna say too much about this because it's still really uncertain, but if everything goes as planned, next year I can finally be present in the US market.
Let's go. Finally. Yeah. How long have you been waiting on that?
3 years.
Okay, yeah, I was going to say it usually takes quite a while for a lot of people.
Yeah.
The application process and everything. Yeah.
You really have to make a petition out of thin air. So it's pretty hard to get all the signatures and everything. But after you have the signatures, it's still not enough because you have to pay like $10K almost.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah.
What an investment that you get. Like I give so much credit to anyone who's not in the US who wants to make this, this career.
It's really hard.
A full-time thing because
it's
hard enough being from the States. Then you got to worry about the visa thing is just a whole nother layer of
the funny thing is you have to pay that amount every 3 years.
Oh, fuck. Well, good luck to you, man. I look forward to seeing you come over here. Last couple of questions. If there was one piece of advice you could give yourself when you first decided that music was what you wanted to do for your career, what would that be?
Don't do favors.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
Don't do favors out of the blue for people who seem nice. Make sure they are actually nice.
Seem nice. Right.
Yeah.
Even
Make
the
sure
people
they are genuine.
Even if it is that, sometimes your friends can do it to you too. So just be careful.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much. Thank you, everyone who tuned in and who made it to the end of this. Please make sure to like and subscribe if you're on YouTube, or drop us a 5-star review if you're listening on any audio streaming platform, like Apple or Spotify. And I hope everyone has a great week. Thank you so much for your time, man. I really appreciate you coming on and for our discussion today.
Thank you for having me.